Hello, this is Jason with New Valley Studios. This is Drum Lessons Part 4. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. This one's about eighth notes and better beats. Let's do this thing. We are focusing on 4/4 time still. That's what we're used to. This is a note. You've seen this a bunch of times. This is a quarter note. This is called the head. This is called the stem. The stem can be facing up or down, and you can see it on either side of the note head sometimes. A note head that's blank, that's not filled in, is called a whole note. It's worth 4 beats. If a measure was a pie chart, then a whole note would be the entire pie. So a whole note equals one entire measure worth of space. If you add a stem to this empty note head, you get a half note. A half note is worth 2 beats. In a pie chart, that would be half the pie. So in a measure, it would be half the measure. Now if you fill in that note head, you get a quarter note, which is worth 1 beat. In terms of a pie chart, that would be a quarter of it, and that's a quarter of the measure also. So that's why 4 of these fit into a measure. Now we are going to add to the note what's called a flag. It looks like this. It hangs off of the stem. Adding the flag makes it called an eighth note. An eighth note is worth half of a beat, and 1 beat is worth a quarter. A quarter note is worth 1 beat, right? So if a quarter is worth a quarter, if a quarter note's worth a quarter, then an eighth note is worth 1/8 of the pie chart, which is why it's called an eighth, because 8 of them will fit into a measure. Remember, half a quarter note is an eighth note. This is what eighth note rests look like, and this is what eighth notes look like by themselves. I just wanted to give you another example of what those look like, and also so that you could see eighth note rests. Those flags can turn into bars and bar together with other notes to help us read easier. They bar into clusters within their own beats. So that helps you see the beats. So there's a gap before the note where the click is each time. And there's a click at the very first note at the beginning of the measure. So that helps you see the groupings and how they work in the beats. It'll be easier down the road for me to explain barring better when I have more examples, but right now we're only up to eighth notes. So let's move on and do something more fun. Remember that the beginning of each cluster of bars is the beat. You would usually count a bunch of eighth notes in a row like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if these were just quarter notes, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's all you're seeing is the quarter notes. But because they're all cut in half, it's a good way to help keep track of them. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Make sure to be speaking out loud while you're developing them. It should look and sound something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Remember to be practicing your other rudiments too. So here's doubles as eighth notes. Here's paradiddles as eighth notes. So remember to be practicing those at eighth notes so that you can get the feeling of eighth notes. Remember to start slow and get fast with time. Speed comes with time, definitely. This beat is called the traditional blast beat. It's used in lots of different genres, so it's really good to start learning it. If you play it slow, it could be more of a punk beat. If you play it really fast, it could be very metal. I'm going to show you how to play it with both feet first. The right and left refers to your feet. So to play it at eighth notes, it would sound like this. Also last week it was an X on the top for closed hi-hat notes. This time I went with ride bell. So that's what that little triangle with a line through it is in this program. You'll see different symbols marked differently, sometimes in different programs, but it's very common for the hi-hat to be an X though. One great thing about this beat is you don't have to have a double bass pedal. You can practice it with just your right foot. So I'll do that really quick. So the 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all with the right side of your body with your right foot and your right hand. And all the ands are your left hand on your snare. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or you can throw your left foot in there too. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's a great beat. It's very versatile. You'll see it in punk rock and thrash and heavier metal like Cattle Decapitation and Lorna Shore and things like that if you can get it to those speeds. Last week I showed you guys the basic rock beat. It's just right on the counts. You're only using quarter notes for that, so it sounds like this. Now we're going to fill that beat out a little bit with eighth notes. So just eighth notes with your right hand, wherever you are, if that's on the hi-hat or on the ride. I have it written on the ride. But just, it's going to fill out this beat really nicely. Check this out. I might do a combination of those two beats, something maybe like this. Here we have a pretty basic thrash beat. I have it written on the hi-hats because that's how you'll hear it a lot of the time. It'll sound something like this. This is just something that I came up with on Groove Scribe. See what you can come up with. Go on Groove Scribe and go to 1/8 notes, and that's how you conduct from there. This is a pretty cool beat. Check this out. I started you guys off with some really common beats for a lot of different genres, so if you develop those, they'll start to become, you'll hear them in different songs. You'll be like, oh, that's that beat. So get those beats, start them slow and get them fast. And I ended off this course with just something that I made up in eighth notes, just so you guys could see and use your own creativity. Go on Groove Scribe. It's a totally free thing that you just go to on your web browser and make some beats and get yourself to learn them. And also take the beats that I showed you because they're very common and they're good to know. Hit that subscribe so you don't miss any more drum lessons. Hit that like button, it really helps out our channel. And use the comments if you have any questions or anything at all. This has been New Valley Studios. My name is Jason with Drum Lessons. Have a good day.